guys, welcome back. We are ready to go into a new question. What do you say?
I think let's get going.
Let's get going.
We got a call or a message from a young lady called Tashidi.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
On Facebook, yeah.
Absolutely. And she's asking us a question to do with tax. And that's a real paper 2 type question because it can get quite complicated. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to look at a question that came from the November 2010 paper 2, and it was your question number 3. So let's have a look at it. It starts off by saying, Mr. Reed is a secretary at a school and currently earns a gross monthly salary of 7,986 Rand and 50 cents. That's really gross. Okay. But what do we mean by gross? Okay. You get 2 types of salaries. We get a gross salary and then we get a net salary. Now, gross salary is the salary that you get before any deductions. But as you know, and as I know, that's not what goes into your bank account.
I know.
Okay.
It's sad.
So what we're actually going to do is this. Let's pretend you go to your boss and you say, I want to work for you. How much are you going to pay me? And the guy turns around and says, you are going to get 10,000 Rand a month. And you look at the 10,000 Rand and you think, wow.
That's
and
a lot of money.
You're thinking Ferrari, you're thinking Mercedes-Benz, you just can't wait to spend it. And then the first month paycheck comes and you don't get 10,000 Rand. In fact, your bank account is looking rather sad.
Yeah.
So you go to your boss and you say, hey, you said I was getting 10,000 Rand. And my bank account says I've only got 8,500. We need to chat here, pal. And your boss will turn around and say, hey, you've forgotten about these little things called deductions.
Yeah.
And one of the deductions is something called tax. Okay. So Mr. Reed earns a gross salary. Now, the gross salary, remember, is the salary before the taxes come off, before any deductions have come off. Now, the following amounts are deducted from his gross monthly salary. He pays a union membership fees of 35 Rand, pension fund of 7.5% of his gross salary. Now, guys, that's important, eh? Because we're going to be doing a lot of mathematical calculations here. So let's watch out for that. And then pay as you earn, or the tax, is your gross salary minus 4,750 Rand times 18%. Geez, that already looks like a lot of work. Then, coming off his salary is a further amount, and that's the amount he's got to pay for medical aid. And according to this, it's a third of the total medical aid subscription due, as shown in the table below. Now, I want to emphasize something here. If you look at that question, it says quite clearly he's only paying a third of the medical aid. Who's going to pay the other 2/3? His boss.
Yeah.
Okay. So he works for a very nice company, because the company's going to say, we'll pay 2/3 of your medical aid, you just got to pay a third. Now, guys, that's a horrible little trick that this examiner's put into this paper, because so many of us are going to forget that we're only paying a third. So remember that when we get to this. So let's have a look at it. Mr. Reed has a wife and he has 2 children, and they all belong to the medical aid fund. Use a table to calculate his monthly contribution to the medical aid fund. So let's do that. Okay, now, if we look at this table, there's a lot of information on this table. In fact, my giddy aunt, it's enough to throw you into an absolute spasmodic fit here. But all we need to worry about is this. What gross salary is Mr. Reed getting? If we look at the question, it says quite clearly he's getting 7,986 Rand 50. That means that this guy is falling into this category. In other words, we don't need to worry about these other bits and pieces here. That's a whole lot of information we don't need. Well, we don't need it at this stage, but if I know this examiner, we're going to need it later on. Okay?
Tricky.
But for now, all I've got to worry about is, and I'm going to change my color to pink to make it important, is that amount of 1,152 Rand, the amount of 816 Rand, and the amount of 424 Rand. Okay, now, let's have a look at it. How much is he going to pay for his medical aid? So we have Mr. Reed himself. So let's call him here himself. Okay, we have his wife, And then we have 2 children, hey? We'll call his first child, child 1, and his second child we'll call child 2. That's quite cool names, I think.
Very cool.
Right. So, himself, he is paying an amount of 1,152 rand. So let's have a look at that. 1,152 rand. His wife, she's going to add extra 816 rand a month to his medical aid bill. So let's add that. 816 rand. And then we have his children. Now each child, take note of this guys, each child, not one, but each one. So he's got 2 kids. So the first kid's going to cost him an extra 424 rand, and the second kid's also going to cost him 424 rand. Guys, think twice before you have lots of kids, eh?
Yeah.
Right. Now.
Wise words, eh?
Absolutely. So we got 400, and what did I say now? 24 rand plus 424 rand. Okay. So all we have to do really is just add these figures. So let's do that. We're going to say the first guy was 1,152 rand, I think. Yes, it was. Plus 816 rand. Plus 424 rand for child number 1, plus 424 rand for child number 2, and it comes to a whopping amount of 2,816 rand. So let's write that down here straight away. That comes to 2,816 rand. I think my memory is very bad. Oh, there it is. Okay, so 2,816 rand is what he's got to pay every month. But hold on. Remember, Mr. Reed's working for a very, very, very nice boss. Why?
Because he pays 3%?
Well, because the boss is going to pay 2/3, right? And he is only paying 1/3. Let's have a look here. It says quite clearly, medical aid, 1/3 of the total. So although this amount looks horrific of 2,816 rand, in reality he's not paying all of that. He's only paying 1/3 of it. So all we've got to do is take this 2,816 rand and divide it by 3. So let's do that. So we say that amount divided by 3. And our calculator, which we're going to use, is going to help us out on that. So we're going to clear all this. And in fact, we've got 2,816 on the calculator. Leave it there straight away. We say divide it by 3. And we land up with a whopping answer of 938 rand and 66,666,666 cents. Now, let's stop and think about this. I've said this over and over and over again, and I'm going to say it again today. You've got to remember, when we're dealing with money, money must be rounded to 2 decimal places. Okay? Do you know why?
Are you going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you.
Tell me!
Because there are 100 cents in a rand, and you can only get 99 cents. If you got 1 more cent, you're going to have another rand. So money must be rounded to 2 decimal places. You can't walk into a shop and say, can I have 0.05 cents? They're going to think you're absolutely bonkers. All right? So it's 938 rand and 67 cents. So let's write that in straight away. Okay, so we're going to say here, divided by 3 is 960, my brain has gone for a loop today, 938 rand and 66 cents, okay, 938 rand and 66 cents. That's how much Mr. Reed is paying for his medical aid. Now let's go on to the next part of the question. The next part of the question states this. Calculate the total deductions from Mr. Reed's monthly salary. Show all your calculations. Okay, so let's do that. We get given a table, and this examiner was very nice last year. He actually broke it down for you by giving everything to you on this table. Okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this. This medical aid contribution, okay, so if you look at it, you've got union membership funds, you've got a pension fund, your pay as you go, you've got the medical aid, and I'm going to write the medical aid in straight away. Why? Because I just calculated it. That's what we've just been doing for the last 5 or 10 minutes. So let's go back and say, what was that figure? That figure was 938 rand and 66 cents. You must help me remember this. 938.66. So let's go. 938. There we go. 938 Rand and
66.
66 cents. It's actually not 66, eh? It's 67 cents. No one corrected me on that. Why? Because it was 9, comma, 6666666. So when we round it off, it's going to be comma 67. Ish, that's a horrible mistake. You know, if I was writing my finals now, the marker would have deducted a mark straight away, instantly. That's horrendous stuff, to lose a mark when you know what you're doing. Guys, you can't afford to make mistakes like that. Okay, now let's move on and let's go back up here. Union membership fee is in place for us. It's costing us 35 Rand. The pension fund is 7.5% of my gross salary. In other words, I've got 7.5% we put over 100. Okay? Times my gross salary. Guys, what was my gross salary? My gross salary is this horrific amount here of 7,968 Rand and 50 cents. You're here to help me, so you must remember this when I ask you.
Okay.
7,986 Rand and 50 cents. So, times 7,986.
86?
I thought it was 68. You're useless. We don't make a good team here
I know,
at all.
Not at all.
7,986 Rand and 50 cents.
See, was I right?
You were right. Okay. All right, it takes a woman. Now, let's punch that into our calculator and see what it tells us. So we are going to say, right, I've got let's start again. I've got 7.5 over 100 multiplied by, what's the figure? Useless.
Useless again.
7,986 Rand, 7,986 Rand and 50 cents equals, and we get an amount of 598 Rand, now take note of this, and 9875, which means, guys, we've got to round it off. Remember, we're dealing with rands and cents again. So I'm going to round it off to 598 Rand and 99 cents. 598, 99. Okay, here we go. 598 and 99 cents. Okay, fantastic. Now, what I want to say is this, that when we started this question, there was so much information given to us that sometimes we look at a question from a paper 2. Now, I know you guys wrote the paper 1 on Friday, and you got your paper 2 this very Monday. So I know a lot of you are doing a lot of work at the moment, and I think it's great that you've tuned in and you're trying to do a bit more work, and the timing is perfect, because straight after this, there's the rugby match. Remember that? The rugby, when the Sharks are going to thrash the Lions. So watch and stay tuned for that, okay? But for now, we're doing a bit of maths. We focused, we concentrated. You've done your paper 1. Your paper 2 is all about complicated questions. So we expected a lot to this question. And you know, sometimes we look at a question and we think, oh my Gideon, look at all this information. Where on earth do we start? But you know, if you just take it bit by bit, show the examiner how you're doing your working, show him how you got this, show him how you're doing this, you're going to pick up little bits of marks. And that's what it's all about, collecting as many marks as possible. You know, I work for a boss, and he said to me that the best way to eat an elephant is...
Start at the toes.
No, start at the toes. One bite at a time.
I was going to say, why do you want to eat an elephant?
So if you see this huge elephant and you've got to try and eat this thing for whatever reason, how would you do it? You just take one little nibble. And eventually, after years and years and years and years of nibbling, you would have devoured the entire elephant. And it's the same with this problem. When we looked at it, it was like one enormous elephant. But as we're going through it, so we're nibbling away at it.
So nothing's too large, hey?
Nothing's too hard, nothing's too difficult.
You can do it, you just got to work at it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Okay, so let's move on, because otherwise our viewers are going to turn to the rugby and then...
No, they better not.
Okay, no, you stay where you are. Right, let's keep going. So, pay as you earn. How do we calculate that? Well, here we get given the formula. And all it says is this, that it's our gross salary. And what is our gross salary? Our gross salary is... the woman on my left is just not helping me here. Here we go.
I'm telling you, I must write these things down.
7,986 Rand and 50. Okay, so it's 7,986 Rand and 50 cents minus 4,750 Rand, we're going to get that answer. When we've got that answer, we're going to multiply that by 18%. How do we work out 18%? It's times 18 over 100. So just get that and times by 18 over 100. Okay, so I'm going to take out my calculator again, and we are going to say, right, let's do it. Our gross salary was, oh my goodness, here we go, 7,986 Rand.
I've actually written it down here, so if you want to know.
7,986 Rand and 50 cents. Okay.
Uh-huh.
From that, we are going to now subtract this amount of 4,750 Rand, and we're going to get an answer. And our answer is this whopping 3,236 Rand and 50 cents. But that's not the tax we're paying. We're going to only pay 18% of that. So we're going to take that amount and multiply it by 18%, or 18 over 100, equals. And here's my answer here, 582 Rand and 57 cents. Okay? So my answer then, 582 and 57 cents. Okay, so let's go through what we've done at the moment. First thing we've done is we've calculated the pension fund, which we had to do. We've then gone and calculated the tax, the pay-as-you-earn, which we've done. And finally, they wanted us to calculate the medical aid, but we did that right in the beginning. Okay, so we've now worked out all the deductions. What's left to do? Just add those deductions. So let's do that. It says quite clearly the total is A plus B plus C plus D. In other words, we are going to add all these amounts of money. 598.99, 582.57. We're going to add 538.67, and of course we've also got to add that 35 Rand. Don't forget we've got to add that. Okay. So let's do it. Are you going to remember all these figures?
I'm probably not going to.
Okay, let's go for it.
I'm going to give it a bash, though.
35 Rand, so clear our calculator. 35 Rand plus the very first one, which was 598.99. 598.99 plus, and now we've got to go down on the screen a bit, 582.57 plus 582.57 plus this amount of 938 Rand 67 plus 938 and 67 equals, and voila, there's our deductions, 2,155.23. So it's 2,155.23. Let's just get that right, 55.23. That's how much money is being taken off Mr. Reed's salary. So before he even gets to the bank, okay, the money goes from his employer, half of it flies out the window to all kinds of things like pension and pay-as-you-earn and medical aid, and only the remaining bit is going to land up at the bank. All right.
Peter, I was wondering if I could ask you, Cynthia has said to us she's a bit confused about the rounding off of numbers. Maybe we could just explain that a bit more?
Okay, let's have a look at
Just a little
that.
quick explanation.
All right. What's your name?
Cynthia.
Okay,
Cynthia.
So Cynthia, listen up carefully. The way we round off figures is if the question ever asks you round to 2 decimal places. So let's say I give you this figure here of 2,154,789,4,132. Sure, that's a long figure.
That's very...
But let's say the question says round to 2 decimal places. If it says 2 decimal places, we're going to look at the third one. Okay, so at this figure here, comma 78, here's my third digit. It's a 9. Now, as soon as that digit is 5 or more, in other words, a 5 or a 6 or a 7 or an 8 or a 9, then it means that the second place is going to go up 1. If it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's not going to have any effect on that second digit. So if we look at this, you can see, and I'm going to change it to green, why? Because we want it to look pretty. If we look at this digit over here, it's a 9, which means this digit before it's going to go up 1. So my answer would be 2154,79. If I had another digit, and this is the great thing about this, we can just keep rolling up the screen. If I had a figure of, let's say, 5,997, okay? And I told you round to 2 decimal places. So we've got 5,997, and we're going to round it to 2 decimal places. Because it's 2 decimal places, I'm going to look at this third digit. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. It's a 7. Because it's a 7, it's going to affect the digit before it. So let's have a look at the screen again. That 7's going to say, right, this guy's got to go up 1. But if it goes up 1, it's going to become a 10. Now, you can't have a 10 in one unit. That's just not possible, or in one little space. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, if that's 10, we're going to make that 0, and we're going to carry 1. Well, that becomes 10, and we're going to carry 1. So we're now going to land up with 6,00. Now, Cynthia is her name, is it? Now, Cynthia, one thing I've got to point out to you is this. If I give you a number of 5,997, or if the examiner gives you a number of 5,997 and says round it to 2 decimal places, do I leave my answer as 6, or do I leave my answer as 6,00? After all, they are the same number. But in this instance, you would have to leave your answer as 6,00 to show that you've rounded it to 2 decimal places. So although 6 and 6,00 is the same thing, mathematically we've got to do the correct thing here. So I would have to say my answer is 6,00 to show I've rounded it off to 2 decimal places.
Amazing.
You think that helps?
Yeah, definitely. And I've got another one. It's a cracker. I was wondering, you were talking about PAYE, pay as you earn. What is the difference between PAYE and VAT?
Okay.
Is that a goodie?
Yeah, no, it's a killer. Thanks for that.
Pleasure, Peter.
Pay as you earn and VAT. Right. Now, pay as you earn is exactly that. It's the amount of money that you're going to pay, and it's dependent on the amount that you actually earn. So, for example, if I don't earn a lot of money, like me, okay, I don't earn a lot of money, I'm only going to pay a certain percentage of tax on my money. So let's say, for example, I earn 5,000 Rand a month. The tax man's going to look at me and say, shame, you know, this poor boykie here, he doesn't earn any money, we've got to help him out. What we will do is we're going to charge him tax, but we're only going to charge him, let's say, 18% on his salary. So of the 5,000 Rand I earn, I'm only going to pay 18% salary. Okay. Indiana, though, on the other side, she earns a whacking salary, and I've seen her pay slip. So it's like 150,000 Rand a month. Now, the tax man's saying, "Oi, this is fantastic news for me.
Oh, yes.
Because she earns so much, I'm going to take more." So on her salary of 150,000 Rand a month, the tax man's going to say, "You know what, I'm going to take 40%.
Peter, I like you.
Thanks. So pay as you earn is the tax you pay based on the amount of money that you're actually earning. Okay? Whereas VAT is a set amount. It's 14%. And that's the amount that you are paying irrespective of what you earn. So if I go off and let's say I see a wonderful slab of chocolate, and I don't know if you like this, but my wife loves chocolate, so every time I go off to the shop, I've got to buy a chocolate. And so I go off and I buy a slab of chocolate, and I don't think we're allowed to say Cadbury's on TV, hey, so I won't say that. But she buys a slab of Cadbury's on TV. From the shop, yeah. So she buys a slab of chocolate, and it costs 7.99 Rand. Let's say 8 Rand. Cost 8 Rand, she's going to pay 14% VAT on that. If I go to that shop and I earn 5,000 Rand a month, I'm still paying 14% on that. If you go to the shop with your 150,000 and buy that same slab of chocolate, you're also going to pay 14% VAT on it. So VAT is a set amount, and it's an amount that's charged on a luxury item. So the government feels slabs of chocolate is a luxury. My wife would argue with them on that one, though. She would say it's an absolute necessity.
Definitely. I agree.
But for the normal man on the street, it's a luxury. So any luxury item, there's a 14% charge. Does that answer that?
That answers it completely.
Okay, fantastic.
Shall we take a break?
I think that'll be great.
Definitely, and then we'll be back. I know there's a whole bunch of questions. Let's see how many we can get to after the break. See you there.